Hi, my name is John, and this is my Momentum Thought. God wants us to be like Him. He wants to conform us to the likeness of Christ and to represent Him. We're supposed to be His ambassadors in the world. Now, if you stop to think for a moment about what God is like, He is incredibly generous. He is extravagant in His generosity. If you think from the nature programs you might see, from the blue planet, the bottom of the sea, new species being discovered all the time that probably no one will ever see, some of them before the return of Christ. And yet from the stars right down to the microscopic level, God is just extravagant, reckless in His creation, stuff that we'll never see. It's absolutely extraordinary. And He created on this planet a garden. He created humankind, put us in this garden, this perfect living environment. And He said, I want to have a relationship with you. I created the universe. I want to know you. I want to walk in the cool of the evening with you in the garden. And yet humankind, our first parents, and we continually do it, chose the opposite of extravagant generosity. We chose selfishness. We said, no, I don't want to do it your way, God. I want to do it my way. I want to look out for my concerns, my needs, my wants. And we broke that relationship. It's called the fall of man. And it's like God was asked, how much more would you give? How much more to have a relationship with mankind back again? Would you give this much or this much? And God says, no, I give this much. And God, in the person of His Son, Jesus Christ, allowed those who He had created to hammer nails through His hands and execute Him on a cross. My question is, should the church not be known as the most generous group of people on the face of the earth? If you were to take a clipboard out into the street and do a word association, you said church, what comes to mind when you hear the word church? You might get boring or judgmental, irrelevant. I would hazard you wouldn't get many people volunteering. Extravagantly generous is the word I would use to describe the church. The root word for miserable is miser. If you want to be miserable, just be a miser. Like Scrooge in the Christmas Carol, no joy in life. There is so much joy in a life of generosity. Jesus said, give. And in light of everything that He's given to us, that would be sufficient if there was a full stop at that point. Just give. Instead, He said, give and it will be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over, poured into your lap, because the measure you use, I'm going to measure it back to you. There's a wonderful little text in Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7 and 8. And it's specifically towards giving to the poor, but I think the principle applies everywhere. It is this: do not be tight-fisted, but be open-handed. If we live tight-fistedly, we hold on to what's mine. I own it, I'm going to keep it. And God looks at that tight fist and He says, how am I going to prize anything into it? How can I bless this life? An open-handed life, a life of generosity, basically it's like mine is for the Lord to give to whoever's in need. And the Lord looks down from heaven and says, there's a hand I can bless. I'm going to pour more resource in there so that I know that it's going to go towards my kingdom and to the right place because of that life of generosity. So if you want to remember one picture from this little thought, don't be tight-fisted, rather be open-handed.